Alrighty, so in this video, we are going to be kind of continuing what we did in yesterday's video, and we are going to be continuing with this drone here, except this time, instead of flying it, we are actually going to be fixing it after yesterday's crash. So if you haven't already seen that, you should definitely go and check out that video. But for today, I literally have no idea what the problem is on this drone, so this is going to be me troubleshooting and trying to figure out the problem, and then hopefully by the end I will have it fixed and we will be able to use this drone in some more future videos. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by removing our props, and then we're just going to start kind of troubleshooting around. If you don't know, what happened is I hit asphalt with the drone. It was landing just straight down, but nevertheless something got bonked weird. There may be a short, it's a little bit unclear, but in short, my GoPro mount has cracked off, and then a few zip ties have come loose, and the motor was a little weird, but now the motor is all good. It seems to be spinning fine, although it wasn't at the beginning. It may have just been some rocks or something. And then after that, I tried plugging the drone back in again, and it started smoking, actually on this left motor. So we don't exactly know what the deal is, what the problem is, but we are going to figure that out in this video. So this video is really just me troubleshooting and trying to solve this problem. I'm certainly no professional at this, so this is really just a documentation, so hopefully we'll at least be able to figure out what the problem is and whether or not we need to buy new parts for this drone, or if we can keep flying it as is. So we're going to start off by removing these props so that if we do ever power it back on, which hopefully we will not get chopped off with the props. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so now that we have all of the props off, we're going to take this mount off since it's now basically useless, and also go ahead and take off our antenna just so we don't accidentally bump that and damage it while we are doing this. So I'm just going to get these and cut the zip ties off. So I'm going to have to replace this guy anyway because it is broken. I'll have to 3D print another one, but might as well just take it off now. And as for this guy, just unscrew it from here. I don't really want to bend it back to straight because I think continuous bending of this antenna is probably going to damage it more, so we'll just set that up there. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a look at everything. Okay, so if we look at all the motor connections on each individual motor attaching to the ESC, everything looks fine. So it doesn't quite make sense why one of these motors would get busted off, but I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is remove this top plate with all these screws. That way we can get a little bit of a better view inside the drone. Okay, so finally have this top part removed. It required a lot more work than I thought it would, but now be able to remove. So I actually have some liquid electrical tape on each of these wire joints, so I can't exactly tell if one of them is broken, but what I can tell is that when I flip this around, you'll notice here that this little cable, which is supposed to be connected to the ESC, is currently disconnected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put an antenna on my VTX here so that I do not damage it, because I've heard from people that if you do not put an antenna on it while you have it powered on, it will not like you very much. So this is my current thinking, okay? My current thinking is, since this wire wasn't connected to the ESC board and to the flight controller, that all the power I put through here didn't exactly know where to go. So all the power that I plugged the drone into just went straight to the motors, and it's probably why this one smoked. But since I just reconnected that, in theory, it should all be good now. hopefully. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in. This might be a really big epic fail, but hopefully it's not. So this could be really bad. This could be start basically catching on fire. So hopefully nothing bad here happens. Let's go ahead and see. I'm just gonna kind of put it in here slowly and without touching the other end, just lightly put it in because I don't want it to start getting really hot if there's a short. That would be not good. So, oh, that felt like a short, but it does sometimes do that when you oh, that's not good. Oh man, that smells awful too. Okay, well, oh, that smells awful. I plugged the battery in for about a second or 2 seconds, and this motor just burst up in smoke like the other one did. Oh shoot. Okay, so this one did a similar thing when I was over at the field, and now, as I look at it, I should have checked this before. Both of these, the coils, are completely burned. Just some of them, not all of them, but that explains why these two are fine, but these two in the front are not. Okay, so I have an idea, I think, about how to test this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this flight controller, and then I'm going to remove these two motors that are busted, and then I'm going to plug the drone back in, and if either of these motors catches on fire like the other ones did, I'll know that there is obviously some sort of problem with the ESC. But if these motors are fine and it was just these two that were broken, then we'll know it's just these two that are broken, and the ESC is fine, which means I'll just need 2 new motors instead of needing, you know, a whole ESC. So let's go ahead and just remove this, the flight controller first. I feel like if the ESC was the thing that was broken, I would be able to see something pretty definitive that it was broken, but I don't see anything on the ESC itself that would suggest it's broken in any way. So I'm going to assume then that it is probably the motors. So yeah, I'll go ahead and unsolder these little guys. So all of our motor leads are disconnected for those 2 motors. So we don't have any motor connection with either one of these motors, and neither of them are touching the ESC. And we'll go ahead and put this stack just a little bit back together so that we know nothing is touching anything. All right, now we are going to try this again and see what happens when we plug this guy in. And as you might expect, everything's perfectly fine. So we now know that, oops, that's my fault. So we now know that it is in fact not the ESC like I first thought. It's actually the motors we had on the ESC. So these 2 motors are definitely busted at this point, but these 2 seem to be fine. Chances are, since these 2 are the same brand, they might actually end up going out just like these ones. These are definitely not the best motors I could possibly buy for this drone, so I'll definitely look into some different motor options. But for now, it does not seem like the drone will be flying in the air anytime soon. So that will be all for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed this kind of just seeing what the problem is with my drone. It's definitely not the most interesting video, but it is part of the journey of this drone, and I definitely want to document it and share it with you guys so that I have it and so that you have it for just my journey in FPV drone flying. So that is going to be all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video with this drone flying.